Hey everyone, welcome back to the All Music Matters in That podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Today I welcome a special guest from somewhere in the Central Time Zone. We got our boy, Patrick Vance from the band Iron King Stag. How you doing today, brother?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
Not too bad. Actually got back from church not too long ago. I'm Catholic, so had to do my whole Ash Wednesday sort of deal right there too.
Irish Catholic, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's my dad's side. That's most of my family, yeah.
You're mostly Irish?
Oh yeah. Like 95% probably, yeah. There's some German in there, and apparently some Native American, but every white person says that, so.
Every white person wishes he had some sort of Native American in them.
Some sort of reason to be here.
I guess so. All right. But outside of that, how you been recently? What's new?
Good. I mean, just lately I've been just working on the band stuff, trying to get everything going, working on my LLC I recently started for vocal coaching and production and all that stuff. So mainly I've been doing that kind of stuff, but really trying to get the band off the ground again, get us back playing shows again with basically a new lineup. I'm still the lead singer, and I've been the lead singer since the very beginning. I'm the last founder still in the band, but it's a new lineup, but basically the same music. So
that's good to hear. And I guess, so which part of the States are you hailing from?
So I'm from San Antonio, Texas. So I live over. Yep. I'm Texan, but I'm San Antonian. My family's old San Antonio.
All right. Nonetheless, I'd like to welcome you to my podcast here, mate. And I guess the way it's going to work is, I just want to ask you some questions. I want to get to know you more, both as the musician, but also as the individual as well here too. So.
Thank you.
All right. But actually, this is going to be interesting. So let's get to learn more about you, and let's start at the beginning when he was just a wee little lad. So I guess,
Okay.
Got to bring out the Scottish every now and again there too.
Yeah. Hey, there you go.
Every now and again. So, all right. But nonetheless, let's start back here in the beginning here too. So, tell us your backstory. How did you become a musician?
So I've been involved in music since I was a little kid. I was recording stuff. I had one of those little tiny cassette players that was like big and bulky, had all the little colors on it and all that stuff. Like I was messing with that when I was 3-4 years old. And then as I got older, I was always singing and playing around and playing. I started playing recorder, and then at one point I started clarinet in middle school, and I was a saxophone player, and I was first chair sax for a while. And then when I was 15, I started playing guitar, and I played that for about a year and a half. Being a 15-year-old, I know time seems to move a lot slower than it does for someone that's 35. And so when you're 15, that 1 year that I played guitar felt like 5 years playing guitar. And then I quit, and I basically wasn't involved. I was just focused on school and then work. And basically when I turned 21, I started going to do karaoke. And that's really when it's funny, but I think a lot of singers get started doing stuff like karaoke because you're actually in front of people. You actually have to hear yourself, what you sound like in front of an audience. And so I started doing that, and I was okay. I wouldn't say that I was very good by any means, but I was okay. And so finally I went and I got professional vocal coaching from Lisa Clarity and Sonia Flory in San Antonio, both really good vocal coaches, vocal teachers. And so they trained me, and then I ended up joining some bands, and then I started one of my own bands, my cover band, Sprucewood, and then eventually this band. And this band I've been running on and off since 2014. So long time. So, and I founded it, basically the band started with me and John Perez, who was the guitar player from Sprucewood, and Michael Sengas. And Mike was the bass player. And then eventually we picked up, we went through a bunch of drummers. We had our first drummer was Mark Wilson, who was great punk rock drummer style. And then eventually we moved on and had to, as we progressed, you lose guys. And that was kind of the fire guy. I had a fire guy, and that was really difficult. And then you just guys get tired, or you have the fire guy because he's not practicing and not working at it, and you want to get to the professional level. So that's when going from a jam band to a professional band in the sense of, well, we're going to go into a studio now. That's when all of a sudden you're just oh God. This is really a bigger deal. You have money behind you now. And my producer at the time, Richard Thurman, through Richard Thurman Entertainment, we were like his baby, like we were really his first, I think, real project as a full band that had real potential, I think. And he basically acted as our label to an extent. And so he funded us to a pretty good degree. Like we still paid for everything we paid everything back, I believe. But he funded us pretty extensively. And so a lot of the stuff we did, he was a really big proponent of helping us get out there. And then we were able to play shows like we opened up for Uli John Roth and the Scorpions. We opened up for Quiet Riot. Quiet Riot was probably the biggest one we did, where we had a ton of people in front of us. And I literally found out Quiet Riot was going to be here. And we were big enough at that point. This is like 2016. I literally found out Quiet Riot was going to be in San Antonio. And I literally just made a phone call to a guy I knew that was a booker over at a venue called Rockbox. And he was like, yeah, I'll put you on. Yeah, I'll put you on the show. And I was just like, cool. And I was at the studio at the time. I was at my producer's studio, and I literally hung up the phone. I go, well, we're going to open up for Quiet Riot. And he goes, what? And I'm like, yeah. I made a phone call. We're opening up for Quiet Riot in a couple of weeks. And so we were pretty well known back then.
That's for sure, especially when opening up for Quiet Riot, the formerly... Randy Gross is actually part of it.
So this is when the drummer was still alive. And he was the only original member still in the band at the time.
Yeah, because Randy, he went off. He joined Ozzy Osbourne. Tragic about that whole history there, too.
Right.
It was way too soon. So,
yeah.
You know, the thing that always stinks is because they're always play like the big hits. It's always the come on, feel the noise.
Yeah.
Man, you don't really hear too much of any of the other ones. Maybe one or two here or there, but it's mainly just like ones that maybe got a bit more popular.
Yeah. Bang your heads and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mental health or mental health.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That whole deal.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So I guess, what was that show like? I guess the
bands popping? It was busy. We had a lot of people. We technically were the first opener because we didn't pay for a slot, but I sold some tickets and they ended up viewing, I think they gave us the lights. They weren't supposed to give us, they gave us the actual Quiet Riot lights. So that was probably the coolest show we ever did. We had a lot of great shows, just individual shows. I think our last big show in 2019 that we probably had 200-300 people in front of us, and that was our show. And so we had a lot of great shows, but Quiet Riot, that was special because you're on this big stage. You can say till the day I die, I can say I opened up for Quiet Riot. And so it's one of those things where it's just like, it's a big deal because you got to play with one of your idols, especially with one of the original members still there before the drummer passed. And so it's neat. It's very cool to be able to say that.
We put that on YouTube.
So. Oh yeah. We should have recorded that better. We have some good recordings and stuff like that. But we don't have that one. So.
Oh, not even a picture.
We have pictures. Yeah, we have a bunch of pictures. I put a bunch of stuff up on Facebook and stuff, and there is a picture of like our banner right next to the Quiet Riot drum set. And you can literally see like Quiet Riot written on the drum set, and then you see our banner where it says Iron King Stag. And so that's probably the coolest picture I like because it's like that's proof. Like that's proof, and that's proof because I'm not good enough at Photoshop to make that not proof.
That way you can't get the conspiracy theorists say like, oh, that's fake. So.
I'm sure someone, even now it's AI, dude. AI can do everything now. It's insane. And so, if I were to, I probably could just be like, hey, I want you to fake that we opened up for Quiet Riot. They can take AI and do all that stuff. I don't know. It's pretty interesting.
That's for sure. I do have a question about AI, but that'll come a little bit later here too.
Sure.
So it seems like Iron King Stag, it seemed to start in around 2014, or was it kind of a little later?
It was 2014. So here's what happened. So we started off, and the first name we went by was Lost Dogs. And I hated it. The drummer at the time came up with it. He was very punk rock, Mark Wilson. He came up with it, and it was okay. It wasn't a bad name by any means. And I always knew, like down the road, bands change names over time. Like it just happens a lot. And if we ever get signed or get any major record label deal at one point, there's a good chance we'll have to change our name again, which I hope not, because I really like the originality of the current name. So Lost Dogs, and thank God the bass player found out there was a band named Lost Dogs already, that had like a trademark on it and everything. So we definitely couldn't use that. Then we went by a different name, went by Live from Space, and then the drummer left the band. And those were both his names. Like he came up with both his names. And Live from Space is a really cool name, but for one, I wasn't into it too much at first, and then it grew on me. But then like when he wasn't in the band anymore, I was just like, well, we can't really use that name. Like let's make a different name. So the story for the name goes that we basically were at the point where we couldn't think of a name, and we even put a bunch of like pieces of paper into a hat because we were like just trying to figure out like what to name the band. And so I remember the three last names, and so I always wanted to name the band Sprucewood again from my old band because Sprucewood's a good name, it's easy to remember, all that stuff. And we would practice on my home street, which was Sprucewood. And so there's a reason why you can use that name. But I will say it's not as metal, it's not as strong as rock as some names, I guess. But so we had Iron Apollo, it was Black Stag, and King Warden were the three other names, and then Sprucewood. And Sprucewood always was runner up between all the names. And so we're trying to figure out which one to pick. And my roommate at the time, who's not part of the band, walks through the room and just, why don't you just name the band Iron King Stag? And everyone starts cracking up, and we go, well, and I go, well, let's write that down. And so we wrote it down, and then we had a vote, and Iron King Stag won the vote 2-1. And I was the one dissenter that voted on Sprucewood, and so we had to go with Iron King Stag. And now I'm the last original member left in the band. So it's very interesting how it works, but it's hard to just leave and start a new band when you already got a sound and a style, because basically I've always ran the band. And so you run into this situation where it's like we've already got merch, we've already got a big fan base, we've already got a lot of people who know us. Starting a whole new band with a whole new project is basically like, well, you're going to make a new sound. You got to do a new thing. People always want to do a different style and all that stuff. You get with the different guys and stuff. And it's been a challenge because finding musicians that are willing to join a band that they're basically already joining a band that's already moving a certain way, especially as an original band, they always want to have their say in some way, which is fine. I have no problem with that at all. In fact, I want that. I want everyone to help and be involved in some way, shape, or form, especially with ideas and writing and all that stuff. But you get guys that basically come in and like, let's go more grunge. I'm just like, dude, this is a hard rock, classic rock style, like Led Zeppelin-esque band. Like it's not changing. And like I remember some guy even was just like, well, why don't we do more psychedelic? I'm like, we're a psychedelic rock band. Like what do you want me to say? I mean, like we sound like Rush and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd probably. And it's like, oh God. Anyway.
I digress.
Went off on a tangent, sorry.
No, you're good. Actually, if you got pretty frustrated with like the way they always do like the genres, it's almost like, no, we're classic rock, and then it's like, no, we're psychedelic rock, I guess. Was it just like, let's just mold the two together and just make it easy.
Just call it rock. Psychedelic, here's the thing about psychedelic, is a lot of people can be psychedelic without having a ton of psychedelic aspects. Some people are like so psychedelic, like it's not like you can't even hear the real band in there sometimes. Like it's literally like they've got so many different like pedals and effects and stuff on the vocals and on the drums and everything. And it's like, and you have the synthesizer or something where it's like it's changed for every song. So it gets to the point where it's like you can't even tell what the band is anymore. And so like one of the reasons why I've always kind of like loved Zeppelin since I've gotten really involved in professional music is that Zeppelin knew how to do it just enough. Not to the point. Same with Rush. Rush was real good about this. Just enough where they could still be heavy, hard rock, but had that psychedelic influence, especially in some of their songs are super like it looks in the no quarter, and that's like all psych. That's all psych they can add in there. But then they have a song like Good Times, Bad Times, which is straight up hard rock.
Or rock and roll. So
yeah, whatever you want to call it. Rock. I mean, at the end of the day, when people ask you what genre are you guys like new metal? Are you guys like 70s metal, 80s metal, hair metal? Are you guys like heavy metal? Do you guys consider yourself like classic rock? And I tell them, well, we're rock music. Like at the end of the day, if you like rock music, come see us.
Come and see, and you shall be entertained.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you'll know who we are. So yeah. Too. Actually, he did the logo for you there too, because anytime I think of Stag, I'm thinking back to the whole Baratheon sigil that they had.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And people, it's funny you say that because I've played shows where people are like, yeah, Iron King Stag, and they're like, yeah, Game of Thrones, bro, because we were big. That's when we were more popular. Is during like the heyday. It was like season 4 Game of Thrones was out around that time, and so I just got into Game of Thrones, and so it's funny you say that because. Like talking about logos now, it's funny because I've always kind of wanted to make new logo designs just for fun and like add new like stuff to the band stuff. And it's like I think of that Baratheon stag logo they have with the crown around its neck, and I'm like, that looks so cool. And then it's just like, damn. And that has nothing to like it had nothing to do with Game of Thrones. Like Game of Thrones had nothing to do with the actual name, like naming of the band. But then what's interesting is like I love that time period. I love that fantasy element. I love knights. I love all that stuff. Like growing up, I wanted to be a knight, like shit like that, like a little kid. So it's like perfect for what I would love for the logo to be. But I mean, the problem now is like finding something original for that logo is going to be kind of like I'm gonna need a good artist to come in and be like, well, let's try something completely off the cuff. I'm like, thank God. And so that's because I mean, like you want it. The biggest issue with now, especially with how much information is out there and how much people do like how creative people are, I guess, which is a great thing. But there's so much in the spectrum now. So many songs, so much artwork, so many ideas that's so easy to share. And I'm not complaining, but I will completely say it makes it just so much harder to be original. Like so much harder because almost even Iron King Stag, like there's like this King Stag like play. And I was just like, how is that even? What is that? Like really? And so because I thought that was going to be one of the most original names you could possibly even think of with one of the most original designs, and I was just like, so we came to the logo. We literally took like a picture we found of a stag or something and went and edited it and all that stuff, and then recolored it and all that stuff like that. Like we literally went and just took something and start off with, and then that ended up becoming the main logo.
I think the wording underneath that Baratheon sigil you were talking about was ours is the Fury. So,
yeah. And it would work. It would work great. Like, see, that's awesome. I mean, but that didn't have anything to do with it.
Actually, no, you probably would have just changed like the last 2 words would be like ours is rock and roll. So,
that's great. Oh, I may actually steal that from you. That's smart. I may actually steal that from you. I'm sorry. I'll credit you.
All right. I'm gonna say I better be expecting some royalties there, buddy.
I'll at least be like bryan.gribbin. Bryan.gribbin is the one that came up with this. Ours is the House of Rock and Roll.
Actually, just rock and roll, but whatever.
So, yeah. Okay.
Or I was actually trying to think of the night is heavy and full of rock and roll or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I mean, I get the idea. Yeah. I kind of get where you're going with that.
Well, the reason I brought up the second one was because that was Stannis, who's the other. There was 3 Baratheons overall.
I know all of it. Believe me, I'm super Game of Thrones, so I know all this stuff.
So, yeah, I was just throwing that one out there. I forget what Renly's was. I think his was just still kind of stick with the same.
I mean, they were all stags, but I know Stannis was like, he went like super religious. Like he went super like to the point where it's like he went too far, and so it's very, very interesting, like what happened with the Baratheons. And then of course Robert was just dumb. He's just drunk all the time.
Drunk and lonely. So, yeah.
If he wasn't drunk and lonely, he probably would have been a great king.
I mean, he sort of was, but unfortunately he squandered too much with the Lannisters and all that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well,
it was peaceful. That's the only claim to fame. So it was peaceful.
Because honestly, what you could say is the Lannisters, I mean, he knew who the Lannisters were. Like, he knew what they were. And so it's very interesting. Like, if he was drunk, he may have been able, if he wasn't drunk all the time, he may have been able to handle them like better and keep them in line, because that was the real issue was Tywin. And so anyway, sorry. We're gonna go off on a 30-minute tangent if we start talking too much about Game of Thrones.
No, I understand. But actually, real quick, what did you think of the show overall?
Oh, I loved
the first 4 seasons. Good.
Hated the ending. To this day, I will literally say Game of Thrones had potential to be the best thing to ever grace a screen. I worked in a theater for 5 years, so I can tell you straight up. Had the most potential to be the greatest thing to ever grace any screen. And so that ending comes along, the way they do the last season, how rushed it was. I mean, it's obvious that those guys had an idea of what they wanted, and they really molded the show into that instead of letting the show be what it wanted to be. And so they knew how many episodes it was going to be from the very beginning. Like they literally said, we're going to have 80 or 80, like 86 or 85 episodes. Like that's going to be how much. And then you look at how rushed the last 2 seasons were, and that's pretty much after a bunch of because I think at the time when Game of Thrones was prevalent, when it passed up the books was right when Jon Snow died. I think that's when it passed up the books. And if you look after that, they did okay for a while. And then the last couple seasons, especially the very last season, it just felt like if they were going to go in the route they were going to go, they should have done it should have been like 2 more seasons, like to get to that point. Because I remember how slow they moved in the first 3 seasons, and then all of a sudden, bam! Like we're going full at it. Like we're gonna go to Westeros. Oh, we're fighting the Night Walkers. Oh, we're gonna go take the like it literally. It happened too fast if they were going to go that route. But it honestly, the ending, it made no sense from a story point of view. It really felt like they pushed it. So anyway, but I love the show. I've even thought about recently, I love House of the Dragon. I've even thought about recently going and actually rewatching all the seasons again, which I already know is going to be like the thing. Like I know I'm going to love that. But I still remember like HBO, like waiting Sunday nights at what was like 8:00 and being like, dun, 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 dun. yeah. I'm like,
They changed up the intro with House of the Dragon now. It's just more like just showing a blood spray. And there's no houses or anything like that. What the cities are. It's like, this is where it's taking place. So,
yeah.
I mean, at least it gave difference.
Yeah. And they're supposed to do, I know they're going to do one Duncan and the Egg, I think, at one point, or they're talking about a couple other ones. They're talking about the Hedge Knight or whatever. And so I know they're talking about a bunch of different things, so I'm really interested. I've never read all the books. I literally bought the first book a while back, and I've been too busy to read it. But I want to get through the books, too. So at one point, I plan to do that.
I did get the first one. I did manage to get through it. So it was pretty funny after you watch the show. It was like, okay, how many pages did they cover right here, too?
Right. I'm totally going to be doing that. Yeah.
I will say, even though we can agree the 8 seasons, like you have to admit that Battle of King's Landing was pretty realistic.
Oh, yeah. That's probably how it would have gone. Like if that battle actually happened, like really happened, and what the story would have like wanted you to do. But I will say that the Night Walker, the whole White Walker fight was a little. They really did a good job making Arya look cool. We'll put it that way. But everything else, the actual tactics and stuff, the whole sending in the Dothraki and all that stuff like they did, like I'm sorry, but that made no, like from a strategic point of view, that made no sense at all. So like if you're gonna
what do you know? They're actually back.
Yeah, I was like, oh right, they're back in a bed with which like if you're gonna do that, why don't you send all your forces in? Like why are you sending like a regiment of guys that like why would you from a strategic point of view, like why would you send like a little battle party to go weaken them when you know if any people you lose are going to turn into those things and come back? So like why would you do that? And so like you should know like you want to stand your ground with the best possible force you can, as big of a force you can, and that be it. Like that's what you're not going to be able to have little skirmishes with these guys, because every time they kill a few of your guys, those now become their guys. So it's literally like if you had 1 versus 1, and then you went and fought, and then you lost part of one in 0.5, and they were still 1. All that 0.5 you lost now become them. So now it's 1.5 or 5.5. And so I mean it just made no sense. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're good. It's actually good to get that out of the way there too. So
yeah.
Okay. I will say it's book 3. That's pretty much the heartbreaker, as well as the one that will kind of make you laugh with Joffrey dying.
Because I want to go through them and actually try to do it like you're supposed to. Even though I know the movies, I know the show. Sorry, not the movies. I know the shows. I want to get through them.
All right, but last thing, it seems like that was George R. R. Martin's intention, was to end it kind of on that note. So, especially since he's not going to write them anymore. I mean, what the hell, man?
Is he not? Because I thought he was. I thought he was going to finish him.
It seemed like he was, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh shit, I killed this character off, and when I shouldn't have. And it was like, this guy could have really benefited. Now I have to go back and fix it. And
Because I thought he was going to change it. I thought he was going to change it from the. I'll have to look into it.
Right. It sounds like he's done. I forget which author it was.
Oh, he's older.
There was a different author who had finished like her book. It might have actually been the end of her series or something, but she put in the beginning right there, it was like, see, George, it's not that hard. A straight up middle finger, to be honest, there too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. In a book way, I should say.
Yeah.
Right. But I know we talked about Game of Thrones here too. Is that sort of what you try to do in your lyrics, or do you just mainly just doing simple rock and roll, sex, drugs, and that whole deal?
So I try to do a bunch of different stuff, but the basic thing is, I mean, I write a lot like the Beatles wrote. So and what that means is I write off a melody first and foremost. I don't look at a song and come to it where I'm like, okay, it has to be about this. Like this song is going to be about this specific thing, and so I'm going to have to write the lyrics that have to do with this and stuff like that. I kind of there is a song that I'm working on actually that is kind of like that, but for the most part, I don't do that. A lot of times I come up with the melody first, and then I come up with the idea of what I'm going to do for the song, and then I make it all just fit the way I want it to fit. And sometimes it means even just coming up with words and stuff that you don't even know really completely pertain to what you're trying to tell them, but it's just stuff that sounds good. And so you still don't want it to be like, you never ever want to make music where it's just like random. Like it makes no sense. Like I think the current problem I have with the biggest problem I have with the current hip hop and rap scene is a lot of their shit. I mean, I think I heard about I think I heard a guy rapping about shoes or something. Like some shit like that. I think I've heard all sorts of or I mean, of course they're talking about hoes and stuff like that and bitches and things like that. And that gets to the point where I'm just like, dude, find something new to talk about. Stop talking about money. Stop talking about hoes. I mean, country music is another example of where it's always either a truck, a blonde woman, or their dog, and it's usually got something to do with those in it at one point or another. And rock and roll is, as you said, sex, drugs, and all that rock and roll and stuff. So I do crooks and but see, like, so for the EP, what we have released is like a good example would be like Crooks and Hooks. Crooks and Hooks is about the guy that pretends to be your friend, that's real cool with you, and then basically steals all your shit. Well, that's basically Crooks and Hooks. Bad Woman, that whole song, my ex thought that song was about her. And Bad Woman was literally like, so that was the idea for that song was literally from a CSI show I saw as a kid, where this guy was getting berated by his wife. And he was a very type B, like very non-big talker, like, and she was very abusive, and so verbally abusive. And so I remember she was like, and finally he got the courage to divorce, like be like, I want a divorce and stuff. And she said, you aren't going to divorce me. I'm screwing your boss. Like, what are you going to do? You won't have a job. You won't have this. You need me and all this stuff. And so finally you just like hear like, that makes that like white noise sound kind of where you're just like, ee! And then finally he grabs a rolling pin and bangs her on the head with it, and that's how the beginning of the show started. Because CSI, and so that image always stuck with me, and so that song is all about that, basically, about how a woman being in an abusive relationship with an abusive woman type of thing. Out All Night, of course, is about partying. I mean, Out All Night is about partying, and then Fight On. Those lyrics in that song is about basically never giving up. Like that was the basic idea for those songs. Currently, though, I mean, a lot of the stuff I'm writing right now is about love, but I really enjoy writing about things like Game of Thrones. There's a lot of influence. Gives me a lot of my influence, my ideas, and then also I love World of Warcraft. So World of Warcraft is one of those things that actually also helps me give it ideas from that. But like World of Warcraft, even now. I'm real big into Elden Ring, and so Elden Ring's one of those things I kind of look at. I mean, have you smiled like, are you an Elden Ring guy?
You know what? I have it. I just never got a chance to play it.
See, that was me. That was me. It was me. I was like, never. And then for Christmas, it was on sale for like 75% off. I was like, I'm gonna buy this. And then now I'm like, if you like Game of Thrones, you're gonna love Elden Ring. But it's like I'm like 250 hours in, and I could probably keep playing it for another 250 hours easy. But there's, I mean, influence, and on also, I mean, of course, Led Zeppelin is my biggest band influence. I try to write a lot like Zeppelin, but also I like to write a lot. I like the Runaways a lot. I love the Black Keys. I mean, I could go. I could probably. I mean, I also like of all the mainstream bands. I mean, I love the Foo Fighters, especially the earlier stuff. They became once the Pretender came out, they became much more. I feel like mainstream. But like I remember hearing All My Life for the first time and loving that song, and that was definitely not super mainstream when it first came out. And then I wasn't big into grunge, and so as a kid growing up, or gangster rap. So as a kid growing up, I wasn't big into those. And then as an adult, I really came in. Yeah, as an adult, I really got into it a lot, especially when NWA, the Straight Outta Compton came out. And so I really pull influence from anything in my life. Like anything around that I find interesting at the time, I will write about. But I will say this: it's so easy to write about love and breakups, and even if it's not like the basic like it's more of like a tangent of love. Like say like a woman you want to love, or how a woman didn't get a chance to love you because she found someone else, or you found someone else, or some shit like that. So it does come off of that tree. The branches kind of form off of that a lot, but I do try to keep it as original as I possibly can, because it gets boring hearing a song. Like you don't want an album that literally the whole album's about love. Like I love songs that the message is different. I don't like to be super sci-fi or anything like that, where the point is it's just like, what is he even talking about? But I also, yeah, because I mean it's like and like if I was like, and Spock hit her with the, and I'm like dude, like there's a point where it's like, okay, now you're being too specific. But back to the Beatles thing, what they used to do is they literally be sitting there as a group, like just trying to come up with stuff and literally trying to think of words and a melody and all that stuff. And so they'd literally be thinking of melodies, and then you'd have to real quick think of an idea off the cuff. And then you'd start writing off of that idea, and then you start trying to make the words fit in the melody. And generally that's what I like. I don't write poetry first. I mean, there are some times when I have like an idea of what I want from the lyrics, like in the structure, but generally I write the melody first, then the lyrics, generally.
That's pretty cool. Actually, that was some of the other questions I was bringing up in terms of influences, how the song structure normally goes. Mm-hmm. But, do you normally try to keep it concise, or do you try to be like metaphorical at times?
Kind of both. It just depends. I have a tendency to kind of go off and just kind of go over the place. Like if I'm, when you say that, do you mean like talking about like specific things, or kind of just going off on things?
I know you mentioned about Game of Thrones, so I wasn't sure if it was like maybe your own version of like how the story probably should go in this case. So in this case, you're the author. So.
Right. So I do a little bit of both. I try to do a little bit of both. It just depends how I'm feeling, but I don't have a straight up thing I have to do. Like I never be like, hey, this whole album, there's all these songs, the next 4 songs, they have to be about Game of Thrones, or they have to be about something to do with Game of Thrones. Like nothing like that. Like nothing like that. Like they have to go. I love it when stuff is similar enough in the style. Like I'd say that I keep the same style for the whole thing. But when it comes to like something that's let's put it this way, something that people could be emotional or had an emotional impact upon someone. That's what I try to always have convey in my music. And so like love is one of the easiest things that people can relate to. But say like if a friend died, or say like you lost like your whole your life changed dramatically for the worse or for the better, like stuff like that. Like those are all situations that you could write about very easily. Like one of the songs we're working on right now is actually so my bass player, and sometimes I let the guys come up with random stuff. And so like there's a song right now we're working on called Whiskey Magic. It literally doesn't, and we're pretty much done with it. But it's like it doesn't even really have to do with whiskey or magic. It's just about some psychedelic random stuff. So like I mean, it's just kind of like we're going crazy type of thing. It's like it's something that's nuts. Like it's something that happened because it wasn't supposed to happen type of thing. It's whiskey magic type of idea. It's just nut. Like it doesn't even make sense type of thing. So there are times when I write, but also I'll be very honest. Like there's a song called Divine Justice I'm working on right now, and I don't know when that's going to be ready. But that one's about the angels and God's judgment type of thing. So that's extremely like in its own world type of thing. And then you have Whiskey Magic over here. That's just like, we're going to go crazy at Whiskey Magic type of thing. And it's like, and then a lot of just sounds and psychedelic stuff going on and things like that. So it's very diverse, very, very diverse, different spectrum of stuff. I don't have one specific thing. Like you look at like the Mars Volta and they did Francis the Mute and all that stuff. Like that whole album, I think it's like supposed to be 4 songs or something like that. And they broke one of the songs up into 8 songs or something, or 6 songs or whatever. And that whole song was about that woman, about that woman's life. And that's a contemporary, like that, whatever you want to call that. That's that type of album. And I have nothing against that at all. In fact, at one point I may do something like that. But right now we're working on our big debut album, and I kind of just wanted to be all over the place.
That's pretty cool. Actually, this whiskey song you were talking about right there, is it Irish? Yeah. Whiskey Magic, is it going to be Irish whiskey?
I'll probably put that in somewhere. I'll probably. I mean, I'm Irish, so I mean, at one point, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be about Irish whiskey, but it'll probably be about. I'll probably have something about being Irish in there somewhere.
Yeah, we got to drink it on the rocks. That's why you know you're a true Irishman. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Actually, I was going to ask if you guys do share the responsibilities in terms of the lyrics, but since you did answer that too.
I pretty much write all the lyrics. So let me put it this way. I write the actual lyrics, but I don't always come up with the idea for the song or the title for the song. So like I wouldn't really mind the band doing that some. There is one song that we're working on right now that the guitar player that we have right now brought to the band, and it's his song. He wrote all the lyrics. It's his guitar part. It's his arrangement. Like all that stuff is his. And so at the end of the day, it's probably going to be like if we ever decide to publish that publish it on an album or something, like pretty much he gets all credit for the creativity of it at least. And then maybe the band gets like 5% a person or something like from the royalties or whatever. But basically, it's not like the Rush situation where the drummer Neil Peart basically wrote everything. And like Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page wrote a lot of that. Jimmy Page wrote a lot of the arrangements and stuff, and like helped a lot with the lyrics. Robert Plant stole a lot of lyrics from a lot of different musicians, and even in like Dazed and Confused, like that's someone else's song. He basically was supposed to change the lyrics, never did. That became a whole thing. In 2011, they got sued. They lost their rights, like all that stuff. And so so it just, I'm really loose on that. I really like it when guys, not with lyrics, but with the music itself, I really like it when guys bring random ideas to the band, to the practice, to our writing sessions, because I hate it when I come up with everything. It sounds too rigid. I'm a very rigid person. I'm very structured with the way I do things. And so a lot of times when I do it, I'm like, okay, well, let's write this down. Like we're going to, so this is at the verse or the chorus. And like, sometimes like Whiskey Magic is my bass player's song. He's bringing that to the table. And so he wrote the arrangement from that. And so that one's very simple. It's just like verse, chorus, breakdown. And that's the whole song, which I'll be like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus, twice as long, guitar solo, outro, verse again. I have a song literally with almost that exact structure where it's just like ba 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 ba, and then it's completely all over the place. 8-minute long song. I write like that. So a lot of times I love it when these guys spring just start playing the drums fast. Just start playing the drums fast. Let's see what that literally happened Monday night. I was just like, why don't you just play something fast and let's figure out something. And then I'll just be like, just play guitar riff, and that'll literally be how we'll come up with some of our songs, just natural like that.
It's just almost like you just took them off the leash, for instance, be like, here, go fucking nuts.
I like that. I like originality, and not only that, I like the guys to bring stuff to the table. I don't want to, even though I run the band, I do have a co-manager, but it's not part of the band. But generally, I do set up the practices. I basically book the gigs and all that stuff, and the one that makes basically deals with all contact with the band and all that stuff. So I run the band technically, but I don't write all the music for the band, and I don't want to write all music for the band. I'm not a solo artist. I want the band to have ability to interject and write their own songs to put them in there. It's really important to me that we do that.
We should say we established a democracy in this house. So
I mean, it's a democracy, but it's also not a democracy, because at the end of the day, basically what I say goes. And in the sense of where like, oh, we aren't doing this, like I'll make the final call, because I really back this project the most with probably financial gain like stuff. Plus, I'm the last original member. So a lot of times it really does pertain to it's something Patrick wants to do. Like, but I also like if it's 3 against 1, I'm not gonna be like, no. like I'm not gonna do that either. Like these guys, I mean it is also, even though I run the band, it is as much as my band as it is theirs. And I like to keep it that way.
Actually, did you ever see Aquitaine Hunger Force?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you ever see the one where Miwa like gets split up because the Master Shake kept splitting them into like little bits, and they each became their own conscious beings?
Yeah.
It's like they break up so much they end up forming their stupid government.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I mean, it's a democracy, but it's a loose democracy. So in the old days, what I tried to do is I tried to have a full democracy where everything was voted on, everyone had to be either majority or unanimous decision, and nothing got done ever. We'd sit there just basically trying to figure out whose idea we wanted to follow the most. And so at one point, I literally was like, look, I'm just going to take over. Like, if we're not going to, and this is like back in the old days with the old guys. And I was like, look, guys, we can't make a decision. Like, we need somebody to be in charge. And like, well, you're the one that founded, you're one of the main founders. Like, go ahead and just, you take control. Same thing happened with the Beatles. Beatles, it was John Lennon, and then it was Paul McCartney. And John, basically, at the very end of the Beatles, before they really broke up, was when Paul McCartney took over. And so I'm basically in the situation where it's me running the band right now. Still unanimous, like you can't force anybody to do anything. Like everyone gets their own choice, and they're not going to do something if they don't want to do it. And so at the end of the day, you really have to respect your bandmates. I can't force anybody to do things. In fact, a lot of times it's not my idea. I do what they want to do. And I'll just be like, yes, that's a good idea, or I don't know if that's a good idea. Can we talk about that and why you think that's a good idea, and type of thing like that. You have to know how to manage, like you really do.
So that's your rule with an iron dick, as Jacob said. So
I do and I don't. I mean, it's very. I mean, these guys are putting their time and their effort. I really respect all these guys. I don't play with anybody that's not a professional musician and has a ton of experience and has been around. And so when I bring these guys in and they're like, yeah, I want to play with you, I want to play an Iron King Stag, and I'll be like, okay, I have to understand that this guy has a history. He's been ranked, some of these guys have been ranked #1 guitar players in the city. Some of these guys have been in 5 different bands that made it, like, had a chance to make it big. Other of these guys are currently in multiple bands because they're so good they can do that. And they put the time and the effort into that. And so they come into the band, and most of them don't get paid for rehearsals. And so, or even for shows, because I have to make my money back that I put into the practice spaces and stuff like that, and investments. And so if they aren't happy, they have no reason to stay. If I mean, that's the thing. So if my number one goal is, of course, to get music made and get out there and get music like played, but also to keep my guys happy.
So we spread it globally in this case. So yeah, that's the way.
It's getting. I mean, we're definitely. I'm definitely trying to promote PR and all that stuff is very difficult in the music scene, especially if you don't have any money. So it's if I mean, these labels, people don't realize how the industry works, but major labels, they basically give you a loan and they take the rights for your music. And so if you're an indie guy, if you're running as an indie label or something like that, or like us, where we don't even have a label and we're acting as our own label, you basically have to outsource situations and find people that really want to help you and situations you can pay for. Like you can advertise through Facebook, you can advertise through Instagram. Fiverr is a really good. There's a new one I think that just came out. So whenever you're going to release new music or whenever you want to make a splash, you have to have some money saved up and ready to go that you can put into that, because these big labels and stuff, they're putting like let's put it this way, a big indie label, like not even a big major label, but a big indie label, they'll put like $1,500 to $2,000 in you a month for PR. Like, and that like if you don't have that kind of money, especially in today's world, like Facebook doesn't care about you, Instagram doesn't care about you. Those are businesses now. They're all about making money. Like everything's about making money now. Street teams and all that stuff. Like I have a little street team technically, but it's not a real street team. It's not like we're out like, come to our show tonight. Come, hey, wait. Like it was like Lady Gaga's even old enough that people don't realize, but she was literally knocking on people's doors. Like she was like, "Hi, I'm Lady Gaga. I want to show you a little bit about my music." Like literally knock on someone's door and do that. Like you don't even think about that these days. And so it's like and musicians always have this situation where they just pretend to be their own assistants. And so it's like you call somebody. It's like the other Lady Gaga example is like someone be like, "Hi, is and say her name there," and they'd be like, "Hold on, this is her assistant Irene. Let me see if she's available."
Hello, my name Peggy.
One moment. Here she comes. Hi, and it's dude. I mean, it's a dog eat world out there when it comes to the music industry.
As you get the Peggy reference, it was back then with that old Russian guy.
Yeah.
Hello, my name Peggy.
Mm-hmm.
Naughty boy, you not pay me. Yeah. So. Actually, no, here's another one. We must have computer problem. Hold, please.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I really wish they bring that one back. Those guys are funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, hey, just real quick, who's all in the current lineup, I should say?
So right now, Patrick Vance, of course. I'm the singer. I'm the vocalist. We have Catarina Hernandez, who's been the bass player for the last 4 or 5 years. Rick Hammerhead, who is the drummer. And he's a relatively new addition, and the same thing with Joe Talbert, who's on guitar. And Joe, we're figuring out a situation because Joe also has a lot of other stuff going on. So right now, Joe, I wouldn't say, I mean, I want him to be in the band because he's been ranked like #1 acoustic guitarist San Antonio. But it's also, we're kind of at the point where we have to be understanding that we may not be able to keep him all the time. We may have to find another guy basically come in and help out if Joe can't do it at certain points. And so I had an old guitarist back in the day, and I mean, we'll see, maybe he'll come back. I still talk to a bunch of the guys from back in the day. And so, because we've gone through a bunch of guitar players at one point or another. And so we'll see. I mean, right now the main guy though that I want to keep is Joe Talbert. Amazing guitarist, very, very good. He does for a living is play guitar. Like he does acoustic and private shows and stuff like that. Gets $300-400 a night. Living the dream. Like there's no way bands don't make that. Like even an original band in San Antonio does not make that much money. Like a lot of bands like 45 minutes of music. I mean, some places will give you here's $80, and like cool, $80. We got nothing.
Just for some food and alcohol, that much. So
yeah, that's a lot of times, and that's another thing. A lot of the guys used to be like, do we have a bar tab? Like that'll be the first thing they ask. They don't even ask about the music. They don't even ask about the money. It's like, we got a bar tab, right? I'll be like, oh God, okay, well let me check.
But I was kind of leading to this question here too. So it seemed like you guys really did go for a lot of lineup changes, and I'm not too sure about what happened like after like 2014 that stuff. But I guess how bad was COVID for you personally, family wise, and then music wise?
Okay, so we played a show. Our last show technically was in November 2019, and it was right when the rumors of COVID was coming, when we started hearing coronavirus, and people were sending out those memes and gifs and stuff of Corona beer and all that stuff. Everyone's laughing and stuff, and I remember being like, "Look, dude, this is happening in China, and China's a main transportation hub. Like those guys, people are traveling all over the place. Like this has got to." And we find out, lo and behold, like it was going around back in like October of that year. It was around, and we just didn't know. So then it started getting worse and worse and worse. And after that show, that basically killed us. COVID basically put the band in hiatus again. And after that, I was working on trying to get things going again. And then I went through a crazy medical situation, all thanks to COVID. I didn't have COVID. And well, I did. I also had the vaccine, and this could have something to do with the vaccine, but I don't want to start putting out conspiracy theories. But one of the vaccines did get pulled because it was causing this problem. But they found my right leg swelled up one day at work. I worked in a restaurant at the time, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." So I went and saw a doctor. They sent me to get an ultrasound, and the tech for the ultrasound, she freaked out, and she immediately was just like, "You have to go to the hospital like right now." And so at the hospital, they found blood clots throughout my entire right leg, and so they went ahead, hooked me up, did an EKG at Methodist at our Methodist hospital, and they do an EKG, and my heart's out of rhythm. It's an AFib. And so like, "Well, we're admitting you right now." And I thought I was just going to go in and go out. Like I was literally about to leave, and I felt fine. Like my leg was a little swollen, but I was like, "Oh, I'm good." And so I go in, and they're like, "We're admitting you to the hospital right now." So they go, and then I have to do a CT scan, and then when the doctors come over, and there's like, "You have a blood clot. You have blood clots all through your body. You have a major blood clot sitting in between your lungs that can kill you at any moment." Like they're like, it's huge. Like, and the fact that you seem like you're okay and you can breathe and all that stuff, like you should be dying at this moment. Like you should feel like you're dying. And so they were like, "We're going to move you to the ICU right now at Methodist, and we're going to operate at you within 24 hours. And so, so I remember I just thought that, well, I can. She's like, "We're waiting on the ambulance. They're going to transport you to the ICU." I was like, "Well, I can walk over there. It's down the street." And she's like, "You can't walk anywhere. Like you were staying here. Do not even move from your system. I don't want you even standing up if you can help it, because last thing we needed at the time, if that blood clot had broken up and gone anywhere, it would have gone straight to my heart and killed me from major heart attack, or it would have gone straight to my brain and given me a major stroke. It would have been one or the other." And so they sent me to the ICU, and I mean, it was a whole thing. They operated on me. They put a big giant tube up me, and were able to pull out. They shocked me back in the rhythm, and so I tried to basically go back out and start living my life again. So then my heart keeps going out of rhythm. So for the next 2 years, I basically dealt with my heart it would go in and out of rhythm all the time. And so finally, I had to start going back to the hospital. The blood clot thing was taken care of. But then what happened was my family on my dad's side, it's an Irish thing, very common in white Irishmen and in European descent, is they deal with something called atrial fibrillation, which is where it causes your heart to beat out of rhythm. And so on my dad's side, it's very genetic. It's extremely common, but not until we're in like our 70s or 80s. Where you start dealing with stuff like that. But the blood clot I had basically pushed it into that situation. And then once you go into AFib it's very common for you to keep going back into it over and over and over again, because your heart adapts to think that that's the right way. Kind of like a muscle, basically. Well, it is a muscle, but kind of like a muscle when you're lifting, it adapts to be able to handle more weight by getting bigger. And so that's the situation. So literally up until about a year ago, I wasn't able to actually do anything. And so I wasn't working. I had a bunch of money saved up. I was trying to open up my own place. I was going to open my own venue. So I basically lived off of that, moved back in with my mom, and so that's literally what really hindered me from 2022. So from 2022 till mid 2024, I basically was dealing with that. So I wasn't able to get anything going, and now I'm finally able to get the band going again. And so it's been a whole thing. And so thank God, I mean, I'm healthy and I'm ready to go, and I can still sing and all that stuff. And even doctors were just like, the fact that you're a singer is one of the reasons why your lungs probably were able to hold up like they did. And they were like, yeah. And so, and then also for the blood clots, I was a huge alcoholic back then, and we're talking easily 12 beers, 12 pints a night, stuff like that. And that probably thinned my blood enough to where it was keeping me from dealing with as much of the problem as I should have dealt with. But yeah, it was a rough time.
I didn't think it was that bad, but jeez.
I know. And that's the thing. Like for me, I didn't even, like, you look at me now, you wouldn't even know. Like you have no idea. But yeah, it was either, then the doctor's like, well, it's either COVID, because COVID, that's what COVID is. COVID is a blood clotting disorder. That's why they had so many problems with it before, because that was just a straight up cold virus. And it is, but it also causes blood clots in the lungs. And so if you've had COVID, you've had that. You just may not have had it very seriously. And so, because a lot of times it's not very serious most of the time. But me, I'm genetically disposed to deal with it more. But the vaccine, Johnson & Johnson, got pulled off the shelves because it was causing blood clots. So, yeah. So that's a whole thing.
They bar trying to sue? But maybe that would have been like some settlement.
It's too early to do that right now. If I was going to do it, I've thought about that. But right now, I mean, that's going to be a whole thing. And then no one wants to admit that the vaccine can do it. Like when it comes to my doctors, like when I ask them, so are you telling me that it was the vaccine or the virus? Like, well, it's more likely it was COVID. I'm like, so you're saying it's possible that from my Moderna shot that could have done? It's like, well, it's not likely. I'm like, this whole situation isn't likely. Like, let's be real. Like, you don't go through this. So that's kind of like where I'm at with when I talk to these guys. But I still, as a big proponent of the vaccine then, I'm still a big proponent of the vaccine now. It's still probably saved a bunch of lives, but it's definitely it's been interesting. That's for sure.
I say for me, it just felt weird after the second one, because I guess it was, you may just get one and then you probably just go like an annual period.
Yeah.
Depending.
Yeah, there definitely are side effects, whether people want to admit it or not.
I mean, I'll admit it, but I mean, it just made me feel weird. Nothing serious or anything like that.
Yeah. That's for a lot of people is like you like makes like you have like a cough for a few days or something like that. So, yeah. But it's more likely it was COVID, the actual virus itself. That's at least what the doctors have told me.
We'll take the word for it, but whatever. All right. But in all seriousness, good to see you doing well there, mate. Good to see you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless you, mate. So,
thank you.
All right. So, still sticking on that topic of COVID here, too. I actually interviewed a couple guys out of the San Antonio region, because I know you mentioned it's a big punk scene there, too. Shout out to
big punk, big heavy metal. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Actually, there's a punk band called Spock, and shout out to Ernie.
I think I've heard of them actually at some point, yeah.
Yeah, awesome dudes, by the way. And is San Antonio pretty multi-genre, I guess, from your perspective? And I guess, how's it been since COVID?
So, COVID really killed the local scene. Because at that point, before COVID, there was a lot of good local bands out there. It killed a lot of those local bands. Basically, what happened was in the last 5 years, it's been a whole rebuilding period for the local scene. And so you had a lot of the good bands out there able to really do well, and then also COVID happens, shuts everybody down. So then everyone's starving for live music, for entertainment in the industry. And this is probably everywhere. This probably isn't just San Antonio. But so you have a lot of bands coming out that people are just hiring because they need to hire somebody. So you have a lot of these new guys out there that probably aren't that great, that are just trying to, let's put it this way. They aren't bad, but they aren't someone you'd hire on a Friday night to play a major venue that is a big local venue. And so you had a situation where a lot of the music wasn't great. Lately, that's been changing little by little. A lot of the bigger bands, like we're one of the bigger bands from 2016, 2017. Like, we were pretty well known. Like, we're starting to make a comeback. But it basically changed everyone's life so much. And here's the problem with bands. Bands, it's a group. And so if a lot of times with bands, if one person leaves the band or two people leave the band breaks up. And so that COVID was such a huge fundamental change for everyone that changed everyone's life that a lot of those people moved on to different things, decided they didn't want to do music anymore. And now those people are finally like, you know what, I think I still want to play drums. Like that's literally what's kind of happened, is like these guys are just like, you know what, I want to do it again. And so it's been interesting for this. This makes sense to me about the time frame, but this is basically how long it's taken for us to kind of get back to the way it used to be. But even then, things like prices have really killed a lot of people, the ability to go out and see stuff. People don't want to pay bands right now. That's another problem. People don't want to, like, I know these big venues that not big, but popular venues that play local shows every night and stuff, and they switched to karaoke during COVID. And I remember asking one of them, I go, hey, so when are you going to start playing metal music again? And he looks around and it's like packed in the house. They have karaoke on the stage. They're paying probably $100, $80 to the karaoke guy. And the place is huge, just packed. And he goes, why? I remember, and that was my response. I'm like, you're not wrong. So that's live music is San Antonio's a weird place for live music for the local scene. And right now there are a few venues, like one of the new venues that just opened up called the Raw Raw Room, and I have some friends that are the owners of that. They're probably going to be one of the better venues in San Antonio here pretty soon when it comes to local music, and then also just bringing in good major acts. But it's called the Raw Raw Room. But also 502 is great. The Lighthouse is a more local scene venue, and then Starlighter is a new really good one. And then you have the St. Mary Strip, which is like our strip, our Sunset Strip basically. And it's kind of there's a big club on that strip, and basically I'm not going to name them, but they've kind of killed the St. Mary Strip for like the indie crowd. And so what's basically happened is it's turned into more of a hip hop crowd, more of a college crowd, and all that stuff. And that was really the main scene for local music back then. So that's kind of changed things. There's still shows that go on over there and stuff, but it's not like what it was before COVID. And then also construction also didn't help at all either. They were doing construction on the roads for like 2-3 years and had everything torn up. And that really, like right after COVID, and that really screwed up stuff too.
Yeah, there's something about that infrastructure. So.
Yeah, because San Antonio, here's the thing about San Antonio, I'll tell you straight up. We need better mass transit here. We have horrible mass transit. If you live in San Antonio, we do something called the sprawl effect, where everything, basically, people build out instead of up or down because we have limestone beneath us. And like it's almost like you're living in a major city that's all suburbs. Unless you go to, like, it's almost like every few blocks is its own little town, even though it's not. Like, people wouldn't call it that, like in San Antonio. If you go up north, go like northeast, like I have friends that live in Farmingdale, Long Island and stuff like that. Like, they have actual towns. Like, oh, I live in Farmingdale, or I live here, I live there. And so, so literally here it's like you have your own main grocery store, which we use H-E-B here. We are spoiled with H-E-B. You have your main grocery store, and then you have the surrounding neighborhoods, and that's like, and then you have restaurants in that area, and that's like the town you live in. And then you basically live in that area. And whenever you go out, you can go out and get all over the city and stuff. But the thing is, it's just like, that's the problem with San Antonio is once you start going 10, 12 minutes away from where you live, there's no way to get there but by car. And traffic is not good right now.
I'd say that's a problem with really every city, to be honest. So, yeah. Let's see what. Actually, I was in Austin last year for a wedding.
Oh, okay.
I have to admit, it felt weird, to be honest, because actually there's a couple of these big towering hotels, skyscrapers, for instance, there too. Then I think it's like weird because the zoning's like so different.
Right.
So it's almost like you see all towering buildings, and like there's a shanty-looking house just right here, just chilling with like don't trespass and that sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Austin's cool. It's changing a little bit. It's becoming more commercialized for sure. It's been commercialized for a long time, but it was trying to keep the local feel of Austin. The issue with Austin is it's one of the biggest growing cities in the nation, and I don't think it is anymore technically because the prices are it's pricing people out pretty bad. But yeah, no, they you're looking at a city that wasn't a major huge city that has turned into a major huge city and is kind of adapted, trying to keep its old roots, but also become a major city. And so that's the issue you deal with Austin, and that's why they have so many issues with traffic and stuff like that. San Antonio is the same way, but we're smaller in the sense well, okay, let me rephrase it. We're not smaller. We're less confined. Like we have more surface area to build upon and build out. So like now San Antonio, the main city like back 30, 40 years ago was probably like 10 miles radius, maybe 15. And now it's like 25 miles radius. So it's like, it's just gotten this huge like influx of people. Like when you say San Antonio City, a lot of people think, oh, like if you don't live in San Antonio, that thinks, oh, downtown. No. Downtown's tiny. The actual city is like, let's pretend this is downtown. This is downtown. Here's the city of San Antonio. That's literally how crazy. I love San Antonio. My family's old school San Antonio, old school Texas. My family's been in this area since literally the 1820s. There's roads named after my family. Like I love this area. I grew up here. I love San Antonio, but it is kind of nuts, like how it's really developed kind of strange.
In a sense, it's like what I'm saying. It's weird. So
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing I got with Austin. I mean, it's good to see the music and all that other stuff too, like kind of pop.
They're really, yeah. I was there for Valentine's, and they were killing it.
That's cool. Actually, I met some friends in Austin there too, and before I met them, I actually walked down to where the river was.
Uh-huh.
I kind of walked along that path there too, and after I met up with them, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, there's a serial killer going about right there." That's pretty much been going after people. I'm like,
Lord.
You tell me this now, and like after I was like just enjoying myself. So
can't you just shut up?
Like, why would you bring that up? I mean, they just ruined a perfect good.
Tell me when we leave.
Jesus, man. So, all right, but at least funny topic right there. So, cool guys nonetheless. So, shout out to War Against Time, by the way.
There you go.
Okay. So, it's good to see San Antonio. I guess pretty much on the up and up, but I guess we'll have to see what happens. So,
we were one of the cities that didn't deal with COVID as bad as some other people, for sure.
We were a bit more laid back, as we like to say. So
much more laid back. Yeah,
I can see why. Right. So jumping in here to the next question, I guess. What do you use for your music production? I guess. Do you guys still use that studio? I think you mentioned one earlier, right?
So we went through Richard Thurman Entertainment for the EP, and we are in discussions right now of where to record the next album. Well, record the main album, the debut full LP. I actually produce a little bit on my own, but I would by no means say I'm a professional producer. I'm a home producer, and even then, I'm very new to it. Like I've got all the equipment we probably need to record, probably guitar and vocals and all that stuff, and I've got the plugins and stuff that would help with the effects and all the things. Drums, we'd have to go to a studio probably, but the thing now is you can go through real high commercial studios, but I've almost kind of moved towards more indie, like almost home production to an extent for a style, or multiple studios. Like I look at different bands and I research a lot of bands and how they recorded their albums and stuff like that. And like it's real interesting to find out, like, oh, they recorded in this home over here. Like this is where they did their big album, like Led Zeppelin. Go back to Zeppelin, of course. They recorded in this big, they literally recorded in this home. They did the drums on the staircase, like underneath the staircase for the sound that we got. We wanted a wood room, and then they talk about, well, actually they recorded the whole album at different studios all over. And then the rest of the album they recorded all over the studios and all over the place. And literally, like they took mashups of all these things. They took the stems and literally put them all together and then modified them, and then they mixed them together and then they mastered them. And so, like, for me, I don't really have a set in stone place right now. We are talking about a couple places where we're actually talking, we'll go in here and do this. But the nice studios now, they're not cheap anymore. Like you go in there, I mean, it's before COVID, we almost went with this really big studio, this one of the best producers in the city, Stone Creek Sounds. or Stone Creek Recording. I forget what it is. Like it's Stone Creek something. But Max Damon owns that studio, and at the time they ran, and this is before COVID. This is before COVID prices. They did it for $650 a song, and so yeah. That was his price, and he was one of the, if not the most expensive in Santana. But just the other day, I went and talked to a studio, and like, well, if we do a single, it'll be $360 a song. If we do a record or multiple, it'll be $300 a piece. And so, if you're going to go through a relatively well-known studio like that, like even if they're not huge, but they're well-known within the city, your price tag's going to be in the thousands, like easy. Like, and probably even a lower studio, like if you go to a more indie studio. I shouldn't say lower, that's not the correct term, but in more indie studio, you're still looking at $50 to $100 an hour. Like, and there's no telling how much you can get done in that amount of time. So we're trying to cut costs here and there, of course, but we're not willing to sacrifice the quality. So that's really the question is, really, we're at the point now where we're going to try to do, I think, a lot of it ourselves. And then whatever we can't do or whatever we don't like, we're going to go into a bigger studio and actually do it there.
Would you say that's pretty much a big challenge you face these days, being musicians?
Oh, yeah, because musicians, I have money now, but I can tell you right now, musicians, the big problem with musicians is, one, they're either flaky, two, they're either drug addicts, or three is they're broke. And broke is probably the one in common that everyone has generally, because music doesn't make money. And it all costs money to do, like, because you got to pay for the studio if you go into a rehearsal studio, even like say you don't live in a house now, and a lot of musicians are broke, so they live in apartments, so they go into a rehearsal studio. That's $20 an hour right there, easy. And then you then you need a new guitar. It's $1,000 for a good guitar, or more. I have a guitar worth quite a bit more than that, and then you look at that, or you need a microphone, or you need a new amp, or else you need to put money into promotion, like stuff like that. Like it's very difficult to run a band without some type of financial system to back you, either whether that be one of the people in the band or that be the band making money in other ways. Like, say, I know of a band that used to actually sell food plates, and they were relatively well known, and they literally they'd have a backyard gig, and they literally sell these food plates and stuff, and they would literally make thousands of dollars off these food plates, and that's how they fund the album. And like, dude, well, that's like old school style stuff. Yeah, I'm huge. That was Jesse Kill, by the way. Shout out to, I don't know if they're still together, but I think Jessica's still playing, and I think guitar player's still doing his thing. But yeah, and so they used to do that, and we'd play their backyard gigs, and we didn't get paid or anything. We just showed up. We enjoyed playing with them and stuff like that. And so, yeah, that's like people still, especially the metal scene. I'd say the metal scene's more prominent in that way. But now that was still 7 years ago. Now you're really in the era, like you're in the era of digital. So really, the best thing you can do now is you got to find someone that has financial backing in some way.
Call it the businessman who is the businessman of the group right here, who actually works like accounting or some sort of finance role or something.
And that's kind of like what I am.
Actually, you mentioned theater. I guess, what do you do these days? Are you kind of messing around more in business role?
I went back to work about 6 months ago. Really went back to work. I work in restaurants. I'm a server, but I also run my own. I vocal coach, so I run my own entertainment industry. So I have my own LLC called Vance Entertainment. I just started up, and so basically right now what I've started doing is I'm starting to teach vocal coach, like I'm teaching vocals now, because I'm professionally trained also. So for a long time, people asked me to teach them, and I was like, I don't know if I know what I need to know to teach you, buddy. And so I went and actually was like, you know what, let me look this up. Like, after someone asked me one day, I was like, let me actually look this up and see how that people do this. So I looked it up, and immediately I started watching this guy's class, and I was just like, well, he's wrong about this, and that's easy to know. And it finished, I was just like, oh, I could do this. It's like, you know what, I will do this. Like, I'm relatively well known in the city for being a good vocalist, being one of the better vocalists in the city, and I mean, why not? And so I went and tried it, and I've basically invested time and effort into that. Eventually, I want to do music production, and I also used to promote my own individual shows, so I want to do promotion also. But music production is probably my next push is producing music for people, and just not being able to charge until like much later where I can charge like that $300, $400 price tag or whatever. But in the beginning, charge like maybe $50 to $100 or something a song or something like that. Just start off small, and I'm trying to find people that want to do that with me too. So, but right now I'm mainly teaching vocals. This is my main primary source of income.
They try to hit those acapellas, all that stuff. You like the whole Alfred's ordeal?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you want to try one?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What do you have a song you want to do, or do you want to just do something random?
I was just saying, just do something random here too. I'm not very much of a singer. I do my own metal project. Actually, guy out of Texas, by the way, Waiting at the Bridge. Shout out to TJ, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, I just do my own death growls, but I just wanted I'm curious about vocal coaches, like how high they're able to like hit those vocal pitches, like the acapellas and that sort of stuff. So I don't know if you want to try it, but if not,
yeah. You start.
No, I can't do it. I'm not a vocal at all. I'm mainly a drummer, but I used to do strings back in the day.
Well, let me tell you.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I'd have to. I can't really hear myself because of the headset, but I don't have my voice playing through. That's another thing that people don't realize is if you can't hear yourself, it's kind of easy to screw up. But yeah,
that's all good.
Like, hey, fellas, have you heard the news? Leonard is back in town. It won't take long. Just watch and see how the fellas lay the money down. The style is new, but yeah, there we go.
That's all good. It's all good. Thanks. All right. So, I guess what are the challenges do you feel like you face? Is there sometimes a little bit of a struggle trying to get the gigs and everything, or even like the marketing? Because this can also tie with social media and AI afterwards.
So I don't know much about the AI aspect yet. Like I'm still figuring out how all that works. When it comes to the gigs, I could probably play at places that I don't really care. I mean, the problem is we haven't played in 5 years. Like that's the real issue. Is a lot of people consider that we're kind of a new band, even though we're not. Like it's established that the system's in place, like we have music in place. Like I mean, it's not like I helped write a lot of the old stuff, so it's like I'm still here. But I mean, I do understand that, like, well, we don't know how well you're going to do. I'm like, dude, we pull 200-300 people a show. Like, we're going to be fine. You can't find other local bands that do anywhere close to that, or half of it. And so, but there was times we played so many freaking shows a month, we would pull nobody. So that we have like that one big show that'd be great, and then 2 shows it'd be like 5 people. And so figuring out marketing and all that stuff and promotion and stuff is really important now. Like now I don't play in the same area more than once, maybe even twice a month. More than once every 1 or 2 months. And so because you won't draw people. Like you won't bring people in because they'll be like, oh, I'll catch them next week. Oh, I'll see them tomorrow. And then they just forget and they never see you. So if you have like a big event, it's like, well, they're playing this way in the next 2 months. It's like, oh shit, let's go. And so that's kind of like how you want to market if you're going to play in the same place that is. Like you don't want to oversaturate the market with your music unless like you're really like people want like if you can pull thousands of people, then yes, you can play a bunch every night. Like you could do all that stuff because then you're going to have different people every night going. But if you're a local band, you're not going to usually pull that many people. So right now we just got a gig. We're playing 502, which is one of the better venues in town. I got asked to jump onto that, and we've been more worried about writing right now than actually booking shows. And so I was requested by a guy that his band's playing, and they asked if we want to jump on, and I was like, "Might talk to the guys." And so the guys were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so we decided to do it, but that's literally how we got that gig. But I mean, I used to have a lot of connections, and I don't have them like I used to anymore. But I can build those connections back. Like there's people I could call and stuff like that and look into it. There's certain venues that would be a lot harder to play than others for sure. But at the end of the day, you don't need a lot of venues to play at in one place. You really need like 2 or 3, maybe 4. They can mix it up in like a year. But you don't need like people ask, well, where all do you play? I'm like, well, mainly this place. They're like, oh, just there. I'm like, well, there's no point to play at all these different places because then no one's going to know where to go to find us. Type of thing, and also the deal you have to make it. Venues get kind of protective of you if they're promoting you, if they invest in you or something like that, because then they're like, well, Why am I promoting you when you're going to go to another venue next week and play at this other venue and bring all the people that I promoted for this gig? So it's like you kind of have to understand like their point of view too. And I mean, I've never had this conversation with a venue owner, so I don't know for certain this is what they would tell me. But that's my idea of what they would be like. Like, why would I promote someone that's going to have no loyalty towards my actual venue and they're just using me to bring in people? Like it is a deal, like it is a business deal where you're like, I'm coming to play for you to bring my people to your venue, and they're like, we're hiring you to come play for us to bring your people to our bar or our venue to drink our beer and pay our ticket prices and stuff. So it is a mutual use of each other, but you still have to be respectful of each other, or else the other person will be like, there's places where I'll be like, if someone asks me to play at a certain venue, I'd be like, no. Like there's places I would be like, because I've gotten screwed over by guys. And then there's places where I'm sure people do the same about us. Like Patrick, I was gonna book him this place, and then he ended up booking another place that he already had booked or something, and he said no to me. Why would I ever play him again? Like that's kind of how the business works.
It's the nature of the beast.
It really is. It really is. It's kind of sad, but that is how it works.
I guess, what do you make of the AI and social media these days?
Okay, I'll get to social media first. Social media it's Wild West. It's extremely Wild West right now. It needs some type of organization. There needs to be some more there needs to be more oversight. I think some people would disagree with me on that, but the problem that you're in with social media is it's so vast and so big. Like, let me give you an example. On my Facebook page, when I run the band stuff and I promote the band, I will put a promotion in for like $20 for like, say, a week for something. And all of a sudden I'll open up my browser and I'll get notifications like, you have a message from Facebook asking you, telling you your account it needs to be like, your account is set to be disabled. And we're talking literally like, I get like 4 or 5 of these messages within a day, and it's all fake. Like, these are all guys trying to get your Facebook information, get your money, get your credit card that's attached to your Facebook account, stuff like that. Like, the fact that that's so prominent and they aren't catching that is a huge, big deal. And then another thing is the algorithms. I literally had a guy just get mad at me earlier today because I'm not supporting him enough and he's been supporting me, and I just haven't seen his stuff because the way the algorithms work on Facebook and Instagram. Like, so if it's not original, it's not pushed. If, like, say you're literally like posting a picture that's already somewhere on the internet, and we're talking for like internet, not on Facebook, not on Instagram, but somewhere in the internet universe, if you repost that picture, immediately algorithm recognizes that picture is somewhere else, and it no longer pushes that content. Maybe a couple of your friends will see it, but it won't push it. Now, if you take a picture of yourself, say like your cat or something like that, or with like a dog or something, all of a sudden you get 150 likes. And you're like, what did I do right there? And I didn't do right with my band stuff I've been promoting 50 times. Does everyone just hate my band? No. It's all about the algorithm. It literally can sense, and now AI is involved now too, where AI can actually like pick up what's original and what's not. And so you have a situation, and AI's been around for a lot longer, people think, but now it's actually become this huge deal where like now it's like people can actually be like, oh, that's AI, I understand that. But AI's been used in this stuff for probably 20 years, like when it comes to, but it's been more basic, much more basic. But so you're dealing with that situation where it's like social media is, and then no one runs it. Like, you get these fake accounts that basically are trying to steal from you. You get, I don't know how many times I've had these girls fishing for money. Hey, what's your name? Or blah 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 blah. It's like basically a sugar baby situation where they're just like, hey, and like they just send me all sorts of pictures and stuff like, and I'm just like, dude, leave me alone. Like I don't care how hot you are. Even when I'm not single anymore, but even when I was single, I was just like, why would I spend any money on you for sending me a video of you dancing around? Like, I don't get it. Like, oh, well, I'm an influencer. No, you're not. You're a hot girl trying to make money off of me. That's all you are. You might as well go work a street. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna buy into that bullshit. Like I'm 35. I'm a little bit older than a lot of the Gen Z people that buy into that stuff. But like, I would never pay for anything like that. And I hate the fact that especially on social media, that it's where it's not like, this is for like sharing things that are important to you, not for making money off of people where you're taking advantage of them for sending pictures. And they'll say, well, it's a service technically, and they're not wrong, but it's also like, do we want that kind of service on here? Like that's the thing. Like I have a problem with social media. There's social media that's meant to be on certain sites in certain areas, and then there's social media that is just like, well, I'm trying to promote my band on here, or I'm trying to play with my friends on here. I'm trying to talk to my friends, like show them my life stuff and all that stuff. And for a long time, I didn't use social media because that's another thing. Is social media has become so political in the last 15 years, like not 10 years. It's been 10 years since about 2015. Super political. I mean, I used to post political stuff. I don't post anything political anymore because I know how people react. but I remember the first Trump election. I remember the 2016 election. I remember how volatile social media was then, and it's better now. But dude, there's barely, I don't know about no one, but there's barely anyone involved with keeping the peace with that stuff. Like they may disable accounts, but it's really disabling accounts that take advantage of the business side of it. So like my Iron King Stag, like one of the bands, I made a new Instagram account, and like so I mass invited all my friends to be like from my regular stuff, the old guys to be on Iron King Stag's follow list or whatever. 10 minutes into it, I get banned. And I'm just like, what did I do? And like, so the only message I get is, well, we see that you're paying for other services outside of Instagram to get followers for your business page. And I'm immediately like, no, I'm using what you gave me to literally, but see, that's the thing. They don't care about anything but things that are going to hurt their bottom line. Like it used to be more about sharing and being a part of people's lives. Now it is about making money. And at the end of the day, that's really what social media has become. It's become an industry. And so you look at Mark Zuckerberg, and he was such a big deal before. Now he's basically let the snakes like loose. And when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, like it's you find, like I found you, like you found me through Facebook, but you rarely find like good people that you don't already know through Facebook. Like you just unless you pay for the advertisement. Like that's the catch.
Yeah, tragedy there too. And it seemed like just in the last couple of years, like Zuckerberg just went like,
yeah. Oh yeah,
sadly, yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I think the girls who are always like asking for the sex for, we should just call them like the Mardi Gras girls, because they'll be like flashing their hoodoos or something just to like get some beads or money, whatever.
Yeah. Yep. No, you're not. You're completely right. Yeah.
Sadly, yeah. It's a pretty fucked up world we live in. So
it's pretty crazy right now. Yeah.
But tread carefully. And just real quick.
Right. Yeah. So just crazy for a while.
So yeah. Actually, what social media are you on? Is it just Facebook and Instagram?
So yes, I don't use Twitter. We did have a Twitter, but just mainly Facebook though. For my generation, Facebook was the thing. I don't use Instagram as much, but I'm trying to get more into it. But mainly Facebook and Instagram.
I guess so. What streaming platforms are you guys on? Do you use like a DistroKid to kind of set out to all of them?
I use CD Baby. Yeah. So I don't use DistroKid. DistroKid's great, but I use CD Baby, and they pretty much all streaming platforms.
All right, that's good. Just want to get that out to the audience.
Yeah, thanks for the plug.
No worries. All right. So, Pat, we briefed some questions here pretty good. So, here, let's jump to some fun ones. Ready?
Okay. All
right. So, first one here, I'm actually curious from your perspective that there's a particular San Antonian dish we haven't heard about yet, but what's your favorite food to kick it off?
So, my favorite food, I'm Irish, and so you're going to already laugh at this, but it's potatoes, for sure. I love sushi. I worked in sushi restaurants for a long time, so I love sushi. But potatoes easily, and all the stuff you make with potatoes. But when it comes to San Antonio, what is my favorite dish of San Antonio? And it's definitely by far Tex-Mex. And when I say that, breakfast tacos, enchiladas, stuff like that. Love that stuff. I love how people you go up north, or if you go even just a little east. Like, they think they know Mexican food, and I was like, first of all, this is American food that looks like Mexican food. In San Antonio, it's at least Texas/Mexican food, but real Mexican food is really completely different from what Americans know as Mexican food. So, but either way, I think it's really funny when I go somewhere and like, oh yeah, I'm going to get some Mexican, and I'm like, dude, this is white people food. Like this, you have lettuce in your taco. It's like why is where's the chorizo? like where is the sausage? Where is the like where are your asada tacos and stuff like that? But you can't get. I mean, bean and cheese tacos on a soft tortilla, corn tortilla, or flour tortilla. Like I think it's so interesting when I go somewhere and they have that Taco Bell taco where it's like hard and like has this thing and it's just loaded with like ground beef or something and some like cheddar cheese. I'm like, first of all, it'd probably be like fajita cheese and or some type of or feta even and or white some type of white mozzarella something like that where it's like it's just and with a lot of cilantro and onions and everything,
And peppers.
Yeah. Oh, jalapenos and serranos especially. Yeah.
And where's the queso? Why is the queso gone?
I mean, yeah. I think a lot of people up north think queso is like the big thing. Salsa's really in San Antonio. Like queso's still good. People still get queso, but salsa outsells or outserves queso probably 99-1. Like I'm probably not even, I may even be, it may be more like a 999-1. Like salsa, everyone uses salsa for everything. And San Antonio's spicy. Everything here is spicy. If there's someone here that can't handle salsa, that's crazy. Like you just don't run into that. All the food here is somehow spiced up.
And so the salsa we have pretty much up here, there's a flavor to it, but it's not like a kick, for instance, there too.
Right.
Like that spicy.
Yeah. You San Antonio, it's going to kick you.
I'd say, is it more of the lingering ones? Because I would say that's the type of spice I don't like, is if it really lingers, if you're, for spicy food, if it's like that sort of spice that lingers, even after you like take a couple sips of water or something.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely lingers. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the thing. And so, like, I love ghost pepper. Like, ghost pepper is my favorite pepper. And that's one of the ones that linger the most. But, like, serranos are, like, real smoky. And they'll linger more also. Jalapenos are one of the ones that really kind of bright more and they hit you real quick. But jalapenos are big, but serranos and stuff like that is probably even more prominent in a lot of the salsa you find here in San Antonio.
I just did like a little small sliver of a ghost pepper.
Oh
my God, man! So yeah,
don't do it unless you're doing it on food. Like a ghost pepper is really good. I can eat it like that, but there's no point. It's just gonna burn you. But if you do it on food, a lot of times it'll even it out a little bit, or have some milk or something afterwards, something like that.
Just running for the refrigerator, just chugging that gallon of milk, for instance. So.
He will laugh at me, but I literally drink a lot of milk. And one of the reasons why is because I'll have like a bunch of spicy stuff, and I literally I need a glass of milk.
Okay, I need some milk. Milk. Why is the milk gone?
I know that would be something I would not be happy about.
Oh yeah, you need to stay in sour mood and be like, where the fuck is the milk at? Before you know it. So
I know.
Okay, but all great choices there nonetheless. All right, so next one right here. Not sure if you're a TV nerd because I know we talked a good bit about Game of Thrones there too, but I guess. Would you say Game of Thrones is your favorite TV series, and then what would be like a favorite movie?
Man, that's hard. Working in theater for 5 years, I mean, that really changes like the way you think about movies and TV. TV, I don't know. There's something. I mean, easily Game of Thrones is up there as one of the best. The old Walking Dead stuff was way up there. Like the first couple seasons of Walking Dead was way up there, and that was around the same time Game of Thrones was big, like in the heyday. I'd have to think about TV though. Right now I'm watching Invincible and I'm really enjoying that. But it's probably Game of Thrones when it comes to TV. Like if you want to even call that TV because it's more like small movies. But yes, probably Game of Thrones. And then when it comes to movies, huge fan of The Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight, not The Dark Knight Rises, The Dark Knight. American Gangster's up there for me. LA Confidential from the 90s is easily one of my top 10. Gladiator, the original Gladiator. And I think people are like, yeah. I think people like I think people think that that's more popular now. But Gladiator was so good back in the day. Gladiator is easily one of the best movies of all time. But if I really had to say one franchise, it'd be Star Wars. Hands down. Star Wars. Star Trek I'm not against by any means. I'm not a big Star Trek guy, but I grew up off Star Wars, off episodes 4, 5, and 6 before they were considered 4, 5, and 6. and then 1, 2, and 3. And the sequels, let's not even talk about those. But when it comes to 1 through 6, those movies, that's probably the best franchise that I could possibly even love.
The apex of the careers of Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I was trying to remember who the actor was who actually did play Wookiee. And
I forget his name.
He was real tall. He was real tall.
Yeah, I know he passed away recently.
Yeah. Well, the ones who have passed, may they rest in peace.
Of course.
And, I didn't know about this comedian, but I guess Mark Lowe. I guess, have you heard about him?
No, I don't think I have. If I have, the name sounds familiar.
It was either Mark or Mike Lowe. It was one of those two. But his last name was.
I'll have to look it up.
It was more of the late night ones. I couldn't remember what the show was. The Space Ghost or something. Space Ghost. So.
Oh, okay, yes. I have to look it up, but yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
He tragically passed too. So.
Right.
Yeah. Rest in peace. Mm-hmm. So. All right. But all great choices right there.
Thank you.
So it does sound like you were an alcoholic back in the day, but I guess do you still drink these days, or
I can't for my heart reasons. And even if I could, so let me put it this way, is if I could, I probably wouldn't drink like I used to anymore. That was more of my young man thing, especially being in a band. That's just working in the theater, working late, being in the service industry, and being in a band are all just recipes for being an alcoholic. I was a functioning one, so I mean, it's like I would have told you back then, like I'm not an alcoholic. I can do whatever I need to do when I need to do it. But the truth of the matter is, like, if I didn't drink for one night, it was an issue for me. And so I do miss drinking every once in a while. If like there's an extra shot or something like that, or say like someone is having, a friend of mine's having like an old fashioned or something. It's like, you want to try this? I'll take a little sip. But the big thing is I can't binge drink. That's the big, and binge drinking means like 3 or more, like more than 2, basically. So, but for me, I was already one of the back off as it was because I wasn't getting anything done. I wasn't in a good place. I wasn't happy with my life at the time when I was drinking that heavy. And it's nice to actually kind of like be in a situation now where it's like I rediscovered video games. It's so COVID, you can thank COVID for that. And so it is a benefit with COVID, but I rediscovered video games and I rediscovered like I didn't have a computer for 13 years, something like that, some crazy amount of time. And I can't even imagine now not having a computer. Like I've had this computer for like a year and a half now, not even a year and a few months. And it's like the last time before that was a Dell XPS that they called a gaming laptop. And that thing sucked. It was awful. Stopped working. It was $1,000. It probably was really worth like $200 or something like that. And so, yeah. So it's interesting now not drinking, but it is cool because I'm able to get so much more done with my time and save a lot of money.
That's for sure. Not to get off topic, but I think the other reason why George R. R. Martin's not writing the books, because he was involved with Elden Ring, right?
I did not.
Yeah, he helped like write the whole thing with, I think the creator's name is Miyazaki. I mean, that's.
Yes, I do that. Yes. Sorry, Elden Ring. That's what you said. I thought you were saying something else. Yes, it's Miyazaki that made it. Yeah, Miyazaki.
I think they actually tried to put a movie together. Actually, so
I've heard they better do it quick because that's the problem with that kind of stuff is they need to strike when the iron's hot. Because you look at Halo and you look at Gears of War, and they had potential to do both those movies, and they waited too long. And now, same thing with Walking Dead. Same thing with The Mandalorian. I don't think the Mandalorian movie is going to do well, honestly. I think they should stick with streaming. I think they're making a huge mistake by making that into a movie. But we'll see. I mean, people are hungry for that kind of stuff, and it is a popular show, but I think it's interesting when they cross over to you go from a streaming to a movie. I think 1 hour like movie shows, what I'll call them that basically, like Game of Thrones. I think that is such a great idea to when you have a large amount of literature to transfer it into an actual show or movie or some type of screen stuff. I think that just makes it so much better because you deal with a situation where you try to cram too much into it. Even Game of Thrones, like that show was on for 8 years or 10 years, something like that. Because I know there's 8 seasons. Was it 10 years? Yeah. You look at that, and it's just like even that they missed stuff in the books, and they spent some of those episodes are an hour and a half long. So it's like it's just. I think that's a good way to do it. I love Mandalorian. I love what they did with Mandalorian. bums me out that they want to try to go back to the movie thing. And of course, it's Disney, it's Bob Iger and all that stuff. I mean, they're all about profit. I mean, streaming's interesting because I don't know how they really make their money from streaming except for subscription. So if they can keep you subscribed, I don't see the reason why they wouldn't want to keep something that could be a movie on there. That's at least how I feel about it.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I don't understand. I'm just happy that they got something for TV. So
right.
But going back into the question here too. So I'll leave off the alcoholic part right here too. But I guess your favorite.
Yes, I can tell. I've worked in cocktail bars and stuff. I'll still answer these questions. Go ahead.
Okay. In that case, what's your favorite alcoholic drink, and then what's your favorite non-alcoholic drink?
So alcoholic, I've worked in so many different cocktail places. I worked at one cocktail place, and then I worked at a bunch of nicer restaurants. So if I had to choose a cocktail that I would order if I ever walked into a bar and ordered just any cocktail, it would be an old fashioned, easily. There's Sazerac's real good, and then I really am a big fan of French 75s. And French 75s and Last Words, like something that's more like French 75s is going to be super hard, like harsh, because I don't know if you know what that is, but French 75s are gin, champagne, and lemon zest in a champagne flute. And so it tastes like nothing, but it is one of the strongest drinks you can possibly drink. So if you have 3 or 4 of those and you just chug them back, I mean, literally, you're gonna be drunk walking around on the San Antonio River Walk all night. Like that happened to me when I worked at the Esquire. We had $5 cocktail night for French 75s, and I did it. So I love French 75s, but when it comes to I like harsher stuff more. So generally darker, more bitter tasting. But when it comes to non-alcoholic, easily cappuccino. I literally that's what I was sipping on just now is a cappuccino. I make them at home. But coffee, I'm a huge coffee guy. I've been drinking coffee since I was a kid. And literally, I think I was in 4th grade when I started drinking coffee. Probably explains why I don't sleep very well. but love cappuccinos.
Weren't you just talking about your heart earlier? So wouldn't that be like kind of...
They are cool with it. I literally was like, is that okay? They're like, oh yeah, go ahead. They're like, it's not that. They literally were like, that's not a problem. But for a long time, I didn't touch it. I was scared. And I wouldn't even have decaf coffee, and that was hard. That was a year without coffee was difficult for me. But I alcohol, cigarettes, all that stuff, that I can give that up. But the coffee thing, I was just like, oh God, no.
People are thinking you're a drug addict, kind of walking around.
I know. Well, I mean, they are drugs in a sense. So I mean, I guess I do am an addict.
But illegalized, what should we call it, like a crack cocaine or something?
Oh God, I hope not. Wouldn't be good. I mean,
I say more so like jumping up, maybe not so much like.
Yeah. These days, I know what my addictions, like how addictive I can get to things, and so I probably want to touch it. But yeah, if I tried it, I probably wouldn't get off of it.
I mean, I wanted to consider like Monster to be like the speed of like legalized energy drinks or something. So,
dude, I don't touch energy drinks either. Those things scare the hell out of me because they're just coffees. There's actually some proof that coffee actually helps prevent Alzheimer's. Which is very interesting to me, but there's some evidence through some studies that works. But energy drinks, those are horrible for your liver. Horrible. Bunch of stuff in there they don't even tell you about, and then it's a bunch of these streamers and stuff that are releasing like Logan Paul and all that stuff, and it's literally it's a gimmick. It's it's almost as bad as bottled water, where it's like bottled water. Most of that shit is not as good as what you can get from your faucet, but no one knows that, so they buy bottled water. And it's got plastics and stuff in it and all that stuff. Like, honestly, if you want to be safe, just go buy a filter and filter your own water in it and stuff and drink that. It's cheaper, save you money. But I mean, you need bottled water because you can't get fresh water if you're living out in a weird place or something. Then yeah, I totally understand. But if you're getting bottled water because you think you're necessarily better off, it's not completely true.
But now I feel bad because I've been kind of chugging that instead of going for my Mountain Dews and stuff. So.
But hey, if you like something, do it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, here's the thing. People are so scared to do anything and don't touch that, don't drink that, don't eat that, don't do this. Here's the thing: is if you do it in a small enough moderation, you can usually get away with stuff. But if you're abusing it, if you're drinking that more than you're drinking water, then yeah, you may want to be a little careful. You may want to rethink your health.
I'm gonna go check up with your doctor real quick. So, hey, all great choices right there. And for the last one right here, here's how I'll word it. So, if you have a favorite song, feel free to share from whether it's the mainstream world or independent community. Otherwise, if it's too much, I'll just give some shout outs to your top 3 bands from both mainstream and, in this case, indie.
So I don't have a favorite song. If I had to pick a song, I don't know. There's so much good music. I mean, for me, it's very hard for me to pick one single song as my I don't go and listen to just music and listen to one song on repeat unless I'm trying to learn it. Generally, but when it comes to actual what I like, so my top 3 bands, I mean, Zeppelin and the Beatles are definitely 1 and 2. The third could be a bunch of different bands. I mean, it could be tons. Like I love the Black Keys, but I would never put them in my top 3. The Runaways are up there. I don't know if I put them in my top 3. Maybe Rush, because Rush has done so much. But there's also a lot of other good bands that aren't in the rock genre also that are really good. But I mean, right now I'm listening to the Runaways. I'm gonna listen to the Runaways a lot. Actually, my girlfriend forced me into watching that movie, and I actually loved it. I thought it was great. And I'm really good about being able to sit back and take everything out of the room and to everything in my head and actually watch something and enjoy it for what it is. But if you want to go off of realisticness or acting and all that stuff, it's not great by any means. But yeah, no, I really did like it. And a lot of their music I didn't even know about because I've listened to Joan Jett tons, but I've never listened to their Runaway stuff very much. And so there's right now, if I'm listening to any song, a lot of it's My Love Is on Fire. Is that what I like playing with fire? That's what it's called. I like playing with fire. It's I like playing with fire. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. I mean, we really listen to how good all those girls were together. It's kind of insane how talented all 5 of them were.
That's for sure. Actually, the way you're kind of doing it right there, it's almost like Iron Maiden's "Can I Play with Madness?" So
Yeah.
I might explain where they got the idea. So,
hey, well, dude, so. Here's another thing I want to say real quick about music is every major band, every artist that's ever existed has stolen something from someone else in some way, whether it's an idea or a concept or the song itself. That's how you write a lot of times when it comes to you don't just sit there in your room by yourself and look at the wall and be get an idea. No, you listen to something else and then you start humming something randomly, you slowly change it into your own thing, and then it becomes something else. So I want to kind of go off of that because I feel like everyone wants to be I'm the same way. I want to be original, but there's only so much originality you can really have. You have to having influence and being willing to adapt to differences is really what builds art. You don't base art off of nothing unless you want an empty picture. You base art off of your influences, off of things you like, and then you change it to what your vision is of it.
that's for sure. But this might actually tie in with the last question here too. But first off, great choices with the bands. So
thank you.
But we are almost out of time right here. We got
sorry, questions. I know we've been going.
As you know, we were actually doing pretty good, but nonetheless, we are down to one more question. But before I jump into it, would you like to ask me anything real quick?
Yeah, Brian. So how did you get started in this?
Well, it actually started during COVID. It was actually 2021, and actually, I forgot to post on Facebook my first ever interview I did way back in 2021. So, the meaning to always get into podcasting, always looked it up. It was kind of weird how it was always worded on the internet. And when I just saw some of the big podcasts, one would be Joe Rogan or that sort of stuff, or
right. But
I saw a couple other ones.
He was. I mean, he was really interesting back then because he was so independent back then.
That's for sure. So I can't think of any other ones off the top of my head, but then I was like, oh, these guys are just having conversations, or maybe asking each other questions.
Yeah.
Something like a conversation. So I was like, I can do that. So.
I honestly, I love this kind of stuff, even though I've never really done a lot of these. I love these things because you can just sit down and listen. And if you're even watching, you can just sit down and listen to people have a conversation that can go all over the place and find out information that you would never have known if someone asked you directly. Because whenever you ask someone a direct question, like how we've kind of started, but we've gone off on tangents with, when you ask them a direct question, that's planned. Like you have a plan, direct question. But then when you start going off onto other stuff, that's when it kind of like really flows into something else and becomes something else. And so I love podcasts where you actually have like a conversation. If it was going to be a straight up question and that's it, like almost mechanical answer, then I'm just like, what's the point of that? Like I could get on Facebook or something and someone's going to be like, please comment on how you feel about blah blah blah, and then you have like 500 comments, and it's like I don't care. It's like I do not care. I mean, what other people think, whatever people do. And that's the thing is like as a musician, you have to care what people think of you to an extent. Like, and everyone, I think we all do to an extent. But at the end of the day, you got to be what you want to be, you know?
That's for sure. So initially, it does start off like it because I need to actually know, I guess, a little bit.
Oh, no. Yeah. You need a point to start at.
And then once you start, like mentioning, like what we were talking about with Game of Thrones, I mean, we went like 10 or 15 minutes just talking about that.
I know. Yeah. But I love stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you got to at least find, like, oh, wait, he knows that. We got that thing in common. So then it's like, okay, we'll build off that.
I'm a big anime fan, too. So a lot of my music and a lot of my ideas and stuff come from, like, the old days of, like, Cowboy Bebop and stuff like that.
That explains the little poster back there. So,
yeah. The old Cowboy Bebop stuff, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So was there anything else before we jump into the last question?
I mean, no, I think we're okay. I can't think of anything off the top of my head I would ask. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. It's almost like, it'll come to me later. Be like, no, I meant to ask that.
I know.
So, yeah. Okay. But there's nothing else. Here's how the last question goes. So, given some of the bad stuff that kind of happens in life, mainly we dealt with like COVID. I'm sure you also went through like stuff like the financial crisis, the whole thing with 9/11, that whole deal there too. But
oh, yeah. I was a kid. I remember that.
But even like some of the personal struggles you went with alcoholism, depression, that sort of stuff. Yes, what would be your message of hope for people who are perhaps going through something similar so they could try to move forward with their lives?
Well, you have to keep your foot in front of the other foot. Like you have to always, it's important to have a goal, and it's important to have a long-term goal. It's very important to have a long-term goal, but it's also important to know that you sometimes have to take day by day. And it's important to know that as a kid and as a younger person, a lot of people believe, oh, I'm going to live every day like it's the last day of my life. You don't do that. You live every day like you have a long life ahead of you and that you're going to live for another 80 years. And that's the way you want to live. You don't want to live in the sense of where everything's over, everything's screwed up, it'll never get better. I'm always going to be in this situation. I'm never going to be able to get out of this. Everything's so bad right now. And like people got to remember is like, look, things change. People do change. People literally evolve and change over time. And it sometimes they get worse and sometimes they get better. It just happens. So you have to live in the moment to an extent and understand, yes, in 7 years I want to be a lawyer. Right now I'm nothing, but I'm going to get there. And you have to take it day by day and make it last. And then eventually you get there and you're like, oh shit. It's always like playing a video game where you start and you start at level 1. And you see these guys that, like, say you play like World of Warcraft or an MMO or something like that. They're like level 99 or some shit. And you're just like, wow, whoa, look at the armor. Look at the level he's at. Jesus Christ, he can do all this. I'm going to die if I literally get touched by a little rabbit. Like stuff like that. And you have to understand, like, you have to level up. And it takes work and time and effort to do that kind of stuff. And you need to just make the best decisions you can be, the best person you can be. Like treat people how you want to be treated. Like help as much as you can. Now I know with some certain situations people have a real bad tendency to look inward because you're so focused on what you want and what you need. But you do have to be mindful that there's billions and billions of people out there that are all just like you in that sense, and in different cities and different countries and different hemispheres that literally don't get the privileges that you get. And so at the end of the day, you got to remember, it could definitely be worse. At least you're still breathing. And I get a little annoyed when someone tells me, oh, well, like nothing could be worse than this. I'm like, believe me, there could be something worse than this. If you're breathing, there could be something worse than this. And so, and it gets opinionated at that point because they'd be like, well, if they're on life support, blah, 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 blah. Well, we won't get into that. But generally, the point I'm trying to make is you just have to fight. And that's literally what that song Fight On was about. It's just about not giving up. You have to literally take the hardship. You have to take the blows. It's like Rocky. It's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. I mean, sorry. It's literally that's a really good way to look at life is how much can you put up with? Do you need to, and don't overdo anything. Like take your time. Make sure you can handle something. Don't feel like you need to be invincible. Understand you're a human being, that it takes work, it takes time. No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. You can evolve, you can change, you can make differences. And sometimes it just goes south and you just got to keep moving. A lot of people say people are insane for trying to keep doing the same thing over and over again, but the truth of the matter is sometimes you got to keep hitting that wall until it breaks down. And people will be like, oh yeah, he's at it again for another 2 years or something. And after 2 years, all of a sudden, bam, you accomplished what you've been trying to accomplish for 2 years every single day. And everyone's like, oh, I always knew it was going to do it. I mean, it's so funny because I've literally seen that. I've had it happen to me. Like summer or someone literally told me, I was like, I want to be in a band. I told them that when I was like first starting off. They were like, you think you're gonna be in a band? And then I saw this person years later, like, I always knew you were gonna do it. I looked at them, I was just like, screw you, buddy. Like, I didn't say anything. I didn't say it, but I was just like, God, people are ridiculous sometimes. So you got to believe in yourself and don't ever put anyone down. Like try to see their point of view. Like if you don't do that, if you aren't willing to admit you could be wrong about even the things you think you're the most right about, then you're never going to advance as a person.
Although it's like I've been a fan of you since like way back in the day. So
yeah.
Is that whole deal? All right. So I get your point there. So and spoke like a true prodigy.
Thank you.
All right, it's all good. So Patrick, we reached the end of my podcast right here. Boy, oh boy, we're just shy of about 2 hours, actually. But I guess before we close out, got any final words? Any other shout-outs you want to give?
No. If you want to check us out, Iron King Stag, we're start playing the shows again next month. We're releasing an album sometime this year. At least one, maybe more if we have more stuff ready to go. And we figure out a good way to record and get it out. Probably be releasing singles. Keep moving on. Remember, life. It's not the easiest in the world. You got to keep fighting for what you believe in, and be patient with everyone, including yourself. And so that's pretty much it. And thank you for having me on here. This has been nice. I really enjoyed this. You're a cool dude, Brian.
Thank you. Actually, we need to get a shout out to the chairs.
I didn't even see. There you go.
Actually, I thought you were going to notice.
I did. I'm glad you did because I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at your face. There you go.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't really turning it sideways. So that's
yeah. I was like, I literally like this almost the entire time. I'm real bad about slouching and leaning over like this, basically. So, there you go.
Lean back like a king. So yeah, it's all good. All right, just real quick for the audience, can you just list what social media, stream platforms you guys are on, so I can check you out and interact?
So social media, Facebook, Instagram, right now mostly. I'm more so on Facebook. I know Instagram's probably where it's at more so, like where people more promote, and also like Snapchat, TikTok, and all that stuff. I don't even know what's happening with TikTok anymore, but I only focus really on Facebook and Instagram these days. We are on streaming wise. We're on pretty much, if you can type it in, if you can bring it up, and it's a major streaming service, we should be on there. But when I say that, Spotify, of course, we're on Spotify. We're on Apple Music. We're on Amazon Music. YouTube Music. We're on pretty much anything. Pretty much, like, you can pretty much find us on any major streamer service. Even I think there's stuff on SoundCloud. SoundCloud's kind of iffy though, because there's some fine print in there that kind of scares me a little bit about ownership and rights for the songs and stuff. A lot of people don't realize. Got to be kind of careful about that. But fine print's a big deal when it comes to music. But you can Google us. You can Google us. You can even Google me, Patrick Vance. And a lot of people, my name's easier to remember than the band sometimes. But please pay attention more so to the band than you do to me. so the band is where I want you to be looking. But yeah, just take a look at us. I'd love your any feedback. I mean, if anyone has any ideas about music, anyone wants to even tell me what they like that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't really want to hear like, oh, well, you guys should do this and not this. I'm like, if you have an idea, be like, I really like this. Just want to let you know. I'll be like, okay, cool, thanks. I'll remember that. Yeah. But I mean, it's something where it's like I am super busy with my life. I have a girlfriend, serious girlfriend now, and then the band, and then 2 jobs, including one that I own. And so it's just like my life is pretty crazy. So understand, like, just be patient with me, with getting in touch with me and getting back with me and stuff. I'm not ignoring people. I don't ignore people. I don't try to. At least I don't try to do that. But yeah, please reach out. I'd love to hear back from anybody. I love more followers, more anyone that wants to share our music with any of their friends. I appreciate it. Like and share, subscribe, all that nonsense. Like just let it get us out there. That's really the hardest thing to do these days. So I really appreciate any help.
Actually, the problem is if they look up the Vance, they're going to look up the vice president now. So
probably a cousin of mine at some point.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Anyway,
we'll
get into that.
I will say Patrick Vance, the more sexier Vance you'll ever find here. So yeah.
I try. I use good conditioner. No, I'm just kidding.
I use advanced conditioner.
Oh man, I could tell you some stories about people using my first and last name for all sorts of weird fucking words. But okay, sorry, didn't mean to slip. Yeah, I got you.
All right, but to close out like this, everyone, my guest today was Patrick Vance, hailing from the lovely state of Texas, San Antonio, Texas, to be more exact. He's part of his band, Iron King Stag. So make sure you go hit him up on all socials, all stream platforms and everything here too. Go help our brother out. And good luck this year with any shows. I guess with that new album, they'll be coming out sometime this year, but leave it up to you guys. So, Patrick, God bless you, mate. I'm glad to have you along here for the ride here too. So, you stay safe. Rock on. I need you a quick pose. Stay tuned, y'all.
Yay!
Yay! Okay.
Yay!